So let's review the grammar map here. We have the 4 levels of grammar. Level 1, parts of speech. Level 2, parts of the sentence. Level 3, phrases. And level 4, clauses. In level 1, we have 8 different parts of speech. We have nouns, pronouns. Within pronouns, we have personal pronouns and other pronouns. In lesson 4, we talked about personal pronouns. Today, we'll be talking about other types of pronouns. So let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome to Grammar Lesson 4.1. This is 4.1 today because in Lesson 4 we began the notes on pronouns, speaking specifically about personal pronouns. Today in Lesson 4.1, we're going to be talking about all the other different types of pronouns. So let's get started. Here are your pre-notes for the day. Like every other day, please begin with the date. Put the word date, followed by the month, the day, the year. Put down the word grammar, colon, and the word lesson 4.1. Okay, today's notes are more about creating a resource in our notebook than actually understanding concepts. The way we're going to understand all these different types of pronouns is to just constantly be using them and analyzing how they're being used. So let's get started. If I'm writing on the page, you should be as well. So we have the other types of pronouns as a heading for today. I'm going to go ahead and underline this whole thing as a matter of fact, kind of separate it from the rest of the text. And then we have 3 different categories. This is a type of Cornell notes on the page here. The first column is going to contain only single words of approximately 10 letters long. So I have pronoun type and underlined. I left enough space for approximately a 10-letter word, and I put immediately after that definition. We'll find underneath the definition today, or underneath the title definition is where we'll put the definition of the pronoun. Then I've left more space here for examples of those types of pronouns. And I'm probably going to write out past the pink margin on the paper today and make full use of the page. Okay, so let's get started with the content. First type of pronoun type I would like to talk about is possessive. Possessive, P-O-S-S-E-S-S-I-V-E. The definition here is a pronoun that shows ownership of something. A pronoun that shows ownership of something. Okay, you'll notice here that I have used 2 lines for that. That's fine because we're doing Cornell note style here. We can go vertically up and down as far as we want as we create notes. Examples of the possessive pronoun would be words like my, your, as in Y-O-U-R, his, her, its without an apostrophe, our, and their. Okay, there are others, but that'll work now for examples. So that leads us on to the next one, interrogative. Interrogative is spelled I-N-T-E-R-R-O-G-A-T-I-V-E, interrogative. For those of you doing the Latin program, inter means between, rogat means to ask. So interrogative, these are words that step in the sentence to ask questions. So the definition here is a pronoun that asks a question. So you can see here as our notes start to build up, this middle column is going to become a little bit difficult to distinguish one note from the next. So what I'd like to start doing is put bullets out here at the beginning of each of these notes. That way we don't have to skip lines and we can save paper, but we can also tell the difference between one note and the other. So let's give some examples here of interrogative pronouns. These would be who, whose, whom, also which, that, and there are others, but we'll stop there. Who, whose, whom, which, that. These are the ones that ask questions. Who are you, for example? After interrogative, we have demonstrative. 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 No, there are no demons in this. The word you should be looking for inside that is demonstrate. These are words that demonstrate. So the definition here is a pronoun that demonstrates which one, and I'll put in parentheses an S here, or which ones. Now we can see here underneath examples that our examples are getting a little tied up and they're starting to blur together a little bit. So again, I want to put bullets outside the beginning of each set of examples. Saving paper and at the same time making our notes easier to read. Examples here of demonstrative pronouns. Words like this, that, these, those. Okay, there are more of those as well, but that's what we'll work with for right now. I'm going to move my paper so that my last note is at the top of the screen. And we'll continue on with the next one. After demonstrative, we're going to have relative. Relative pronouns. Okay, relative pronouns, what they do is they relate an adjective. They relate an adjective clause to a main clause. It's not necessary that we understand what that means exactly right now. The examples will help us until we get to that part of grammar later on. But examples here of relative pronouns would be whose, who, whose, which, that, and there are others. Now you might notice from earlier in the notes that underneath the interrogative pronouns, we had the same ones. So what's the difference? Well, you should know by now, but it's not a good idea to try to memorize words in grammar will always be a certain part of speech or a certain specific type of part of speech. Instead, you always have to pay attention to how they're used. For example, if I asked the question, who are you? Then that's an interrogative pronoun asking a question. If I said, that is the boy who fell on the playground, now I have a relative pronoun telling me, because the who in that sentence is no longer asking a question, but it's relating an adjective clause to a main clause. All right, so let me move the notes again. I'll put my last note at the top of the page. Okay, so next we have reflexive pronouns. R-E-F-L-E-X-I-V-E, reflexive pronouns. Put my bullet to separate my notes. This is a pronoun. We're going to call these dash self or dash selves pronouns. Okay, what I mean by dash self or dash selves, this would be like myself or themselves. the dash representing a stem or a root that needs to be in front of the suffix of self or selves. So dash self or selves pronouns that reflect back to a word. Okay, a dash self or selves pronoun that reflect back to a word. So for example, myself, herself, themselves, and there are many more. After reflexive pronouns, we have indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns. I-N-D-E-F-I-N-A-T-E, indefinite pronouns. These are general pronouns. These are general pronouns that do not have definite. These are general pronouns that do not have definite antecedents. Antecedents is A-N-T-E-C-E-D-E-N-T-S. They do not have definite antecedents. We'll talk in just a little bit about what an antecedent is, but let's get the examples down here for this. These would be words like anyone, anybody, each, all, and there are lots more of those as well. Those examples will serve for now. After indefinite pronouns, we have intensive. Intensive pronouns. So we're on the last type of pronouns here, intensive pronouns. I-N-T-E-N-S-I-V-E, intensive pronouns. These are self or selves pronouns. These are self or selves pronouns that are used to intensify. Okay, so once again, you're going to notice here these examples that I'm going to give you are the same as the examples above in a different category of pronoun. We have myself, yourself, himself, and themselves. Okay, the main difference between intensive and reflexive pronouns are that intensive pronouns are used to intensify the statement. For example, well, I myself do not care for green eggs and ham. So in that example, myself is reflecting back on I, intensifying the fact that I do not care for something. We're running into the end of the notes here. We have one major rule to follow. We're going to call this the golden rule of pronouns. The golden rule of pronouns. Here it is. A pronoun must always agree with its antecedent in gender and number. So a pronoun must always agree with its antecedent in gender and number. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple things here. First of all, what is an antecedent? And how does a pronoun agree or disagree with one? So let me move my notes to the top of the page and write down this example sentence, please. Tom ate the berries and he got sick. Tom ate the berries and he got sick. All right, so underneath he, I want you to write P-R-O-N because that's our pronoun in this sentence. So the antecedent is the word that comes before the pronoun that shows you who the pronoun is replacing or who the pronoun represents. So in this sentence, we have the pronoun he. The antecedent of he is the word that comes before he that tells us who he is. In this case, it is Tom. So underneath Tom, write antecedent. A-N-T-E-C-E-D-E-N-T, antecedent. So if we notice, Tom, the noun, is singular. So we're talking about just one as a number. And it's male or masculine. So the antecedent is singular and male. Therefore, the pronoun must be also singular and male. For example, he. One last sentence to write, and then we are done. Write this one down. Someone lost his/her/their notes. Someone lost his, her, or their notes. Once you get that down, I want you to take a minute, and in your head, I want you to answer that question. Which pronoun should you use in this case? Someone lost his, her, or their notes. In the sentence before, Tom ate the berries and he got sick, it's very easy to determine which pronoun to use. I think only Elmo gets it wrong. In this sentence, someone lost his, her, or their notes. It's kind of difficult. So I ask you, how many people are we talking about when we use the word someone? Someone is singular. Therefore, we cannot use the plural pronoun their. We have to choose between his and her. Back in the day, they would have just put his down in the book and they would have called it a day. They no longer do that. Lots of times you will see his, her, his/her used in writing today. Okay? That also can be a little bit cumbersome. What we can do is we can take out the pronoun altogether and just put in the definite or the indefinite article. So we could say, someone lost a set of notes. Or someone lost notes. Any of those would work just fine if you want to avoid trying to figure out which pronoun to use. That's going to be it for today. This is the end of lesson 4.1, pronouns, the other types of pronouns. I'll pull the notes back up to the top of the page. And I will see you at lesson 5.